A challenge that I find a lot of people that I work with bring forward is one around communication. And when I say communication, it's specifically around their desire to want to articulate their thoughts and not being able to do so, or finding that they're not speaking up in meetings. Now, it's important to recognize that there's a lot of different tactics and strategies that you can apply to be able to figure out a way to get past that. But I would suggest that one of the places to start is to figure out, why do you find yourself not able to articulate? Why do you find yourself finding it uncomfortable to speak up? Now, I'll propose that there are multiple reasons that there could be why, but I want to put forward three, because I find that for the most part, these three capture the main reasons why. The first one to consider is, are you new? So did you recently move into the role? Are you new to the project? If that's the case, then first thing what you want to do is actually give yourself some grace, because you need a little bit of time in the seat to figure out what's important, where can you add greatest value, what do you bring to the table. Now, once you've identified that, there's certainly things that you can do to fast track your learning. But I would say this is one place, once you identify that, that's actually one place to start. A second thing to consider is, are you prepared? Now, this is an interesting one, because if you find that you're going into meetings a lot of times without having looked at an agenda, or you find that a lot of the meetings you're going to don't have an agenda, you haven't given yourself any time to prepare, to think things through. This is especially important for introverts because most of us do a lot of our processing internally. We're not verbally processing these things out. So it is really necessary for us to take some time to think about something, to take everything that's happening up here and narrow that conversation down to what would be most relevant and what would add the greatest value to this meeting that we're stepping into. So question to ask is, do you give yourself that time, and have you set yourself up to do that? The third thing I'd ask you to consider is, are you observing? Do you find that when you're in meetings and when you're in the gatherings that you're in, presentations, that you're the person who is taking things in? You're listening, you're observing what's being shared by other people, you're observing the energy that's happening, and that's really what helps you to gather all the information that you need to make decisions. Now, that is an excellent strategy. It is an excellent way to be, to observe and to listen. But what you want to also be able to do on top of that is to say, how do I take what I've observed to create a well thought out, holistic recommendation that I can then share back with the group that I'm in? Because what we want to do is not just keep it within ourselves. There is a time to be able to put that forward as well. So these are three scenarios I would ask you to consider to say, are these some of the reasons why you find yourself not articulating? Do you fit into one of these buckets or maybe a couple of them? And if that's the case, start out with identifying why you're doing it, and then we can talk about what are some simple steps that you could take to actually begin to articulate in a meaningful way, in a powerful way that adds the greatest value to the people around you.